He moved through the world unseen, a phantom in the darkest corners. He was a ghost, leaving only whispers of his presence. They called him the Mechanic, a chillingly apt name for a man who dealt in death. His life was shrouded in mystery, his deeds the stuff of nightmares. He was the boogeyman, the monster under the bed, a real-life monster who haunted the dreams of those who knew of his existence. The Mechanic wasn't born a killer. He was molded into one, shaped by the harsh realities of his existence. His upbringing was a breeding ground for violence, a crucible that forged a killer. He learned early on that trust was a weakness, and that survival depended on ruthlessness. The world, as he saw it, was a jungle, and only the strong survived. He honed his skills in the shadows, becoming a master of his deadly craft. He was a meticulous planner, a cold and calculating killer who took pride in his efficiency. Each hit was a carefully orchestrated performance, every detail planned to perfection. He was a professional, and in his twisted mind, he was simply providing a service. Childhood trauma left an indelible mark on the Mechanic's soul. He witnessed things no child should ever see, endured horrors that would break a lesser man. But these experiences, while scarring, also hardened him. They stripped away his innocence, replacing it with a cold, detached pragmatism. He learned to compartmentalize, to shut off his emotions and embrace the darkness within. He became adept at wearing masks, presenting a facade of normalcy to the outside world while harboring his inner demons. To those who didn't know him, he could be charming, even charismatic. But beneath the surface lurked a predator, a killer waiting for the right moment to strike. His descent into the abyss wasn't sudden, but a gradual slide into darkness. Each kill, each life he took, pushed him further down the rabbit hole. He became numb to the violence, desensitized to the taking of a human life. It was just business, a transaction. The Mechanic moved in a world of secrets and lies, a clandestine underworld where life was cheap and death was a commodity. He dealt with the worst humanity had to offer, ruthless criminals and shadowy figures who operated outside the law. He was a tool, a weapon for hire, and his loyalty lay with the highest bidder. His victims were as varied as his employers. Some were rival gangsters, caught in the crosshairs of a turf war. Others were informants, silenced before they could talk. And then there were the innocent, caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, their lives snuffed out for a price. Each kill left its mark, not just on the victim, but on the Mechanic himself. He carried the weight of his sins, the ghosts of his victims haunting his every waking moment. He tried to bury the guilt, to drown it out with alcohol and drugs, but it always found a way to resurface. Law enforcement knew of the Mechanic, knew of his reputation. They were determined to bring him down, to make him answer for his crimes. But he was a ghost, a phantom who always seemed to be one step ahead. He knew their tactics, could anticipate their moves. He was a master of evasion, a chameleon who could blend into any crowd. Years passed, and the body count grew. The Mechanic became a legend, his name whispered in hushed tones in both the criminal underworld and in the halls of law enforcement. He was a ghost story, a cautionary tale whispered to rookie cops to remind them of the darkness that lurked in the shadows. The game of cat and mouse continued, a deadly dance between hunter and prey. The Mechanic knew the odds were stacked against him, that it was only a matter of time before his luck ran out. But he refused to be caught, refused to be caged. He would go down fighting, on his own terms. The Mechanic's story is a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the human capacity for both good and evil. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable realities of a world where violence often reigns supreme, where life can be snuffed out in an instant. It begs the question, what drives a man to such extremes? Is it nature or nurture? A combination of both? The Mechanic's life offers no easy answers, only more questions. His story is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human heart and the devastating consequences of unchecked violence. In the end, the Mechanic's story is a tragedy for the victims whose lives were cut short, for their families left to grieve. But it's also a tragedy for the Mechanic himself, a man who lost his soul in the pursuit of darkness. He may have escaped justice in this life, but he could never escape the prison of his own mind.